So as you guys are aware, I've done quite a bit of videos on Square Enix recently. I really don't touch Nintendo very often because Nintendo, honestly, I really don't care, man. Nintendo is one of those companies where Nintendo of Japan and Nintendo of America seem to be on completely two different opposite ends, where, you know, Nintendo of America is doing the DEI nonsense, Nintendo of Japan is doing the right thing, and eventually when the game from Japan comes over to America, it ends up getting ruined anyway half the time with fucking weird translations and all this nonsense, but that's besides the point. I've done a lot of videos on Square Enix recently, and this particular article coming from Nintendo talks about, or NintendoLife.com, I should say, talks about how Square Enix and Nintendo co-developer is reporting losses again after multiple projects have been canceled. The company Toze has worked on series like Final Fantasy and Paper Mario.
Bummer.
Now, I gotta tell you, as a longtime Square Enix fan, all the way back to even Squaresoft, it makes me a little bit worried when I constantly see Square Enix in the headlines, and especially when it comes to negative-oriented news, because this company is losing just way too much money, right? They don't have the money to fuck around and find out. This company, as I mentioned in every video, has went from $390 million of operating revenue last year to now $90 million of operating revenue this year. They lost $300 million of operating revenue because of Forspoken and Marvel's Avengers, and it seems like, unfortunately, the company just wants to keep doubling down and continue to lose even more money because now they're canceling projects, right? I know they said they want to go into focusing on quality over quantity, but at some point in time, we got to realize, like, hey, you're probably doing a little bit too much. So let's get into this article, guys, from NintendoLife.com. But of course, before we do, if you are new here, just consider hitting that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it, and like the video to push us out into that YouTube algorithm. I got to be real with you. I think that this is becoming a little bit scary because now at this point, I'm a little curious if we're even going to get to Final Fantasy 17. Is Final Fantasy 17 even going to be a thing at this point? Is Final Fantasy 7 Remake Part 3 going to be a thing at this point? Like, I know it seems that they are canceling everything, but I think what's happening is that they had a lot of small projects that they probably thought was going to make them money. Maybe they were focused on DEI, maybe they weren't, I don't know, but I think that they are canceling those smaller projects because they don't have the funds to complete the bigger projects, right? If they keep going with the smaller projects, they're going to have to essentially take money from the bigger ones, and I think it's more important for them to release bigger projects right now, something that's really going to save them, something that people are really looking for, right? So like Kingdom Hearts 4, for example, Final Fantasy 7 Remake Part 3, Final Fantasy 17, continuing to update Final Fantasy 14. Like, these are the things that are really going to keep this company afloat and give them some operating revenue as long as they do it the right way. And these other small projects that they're canceling are not really what they should be focusing on right now. So I think they are doing the right thing. I just hope that it's not too late. It says 2024 has been a challenging year for the video game industry, and it seems Japanese developer Toze, a team that's worked on countless Nintendo projects since the Famicom era and also helped out Square Enix over the years, has experienced some financial losses due to multiple projects being canceled. The co-development studio, which has been involved with the Switch versions of Paper Mario and Crisis Core, reported a 9-month loss of 367 million yen, which is about $2.28 million in its Q3 earnings report from 1st of September 2023 until the 31st of May of 2024 due to clients canceling projects because of policy changes and other factors. Now, I'm very curious what policy changes they're actually talking about. Other factors could be a multitude of things. Maybe the companies just don't have the money to do it, which is like what I was saying with Square Enix. Square Enix is not going to hire Toze to work on anything, you know, maybe even Final Fantasy related if they can't afford it, right? But it's funny how they can't afford Toze, but they can still afford Sweet Baby Inc., right? You can still afford a DEI consultancy company that you never needed before, but you can't afford Toze. Toze is not the only one of Japan's biggest outsourcing game companies, but is also referred to as a ghost developer and is not always credited on projects. However, this has changed over the years, with its official website listing a selection of the projects it's helped out with dating right back to the Game Boy generation. Although it's lost certain projects and won't get a return, the aim is to now recover with a steady launch of games that are still in active development. This news follows Square Enix canceling multiple unannounced projects in May of 2024. Toze has also developed the legendary Starfighter and helped out with games like Dragon Quest Monsters, The Dark Prince, WarioWare, Move It, Splatoon 2, and Final Fantasy Pixel Remastered. So Again, ladies and gentlemen, short and sweet story, nothing crazy about it. But again, it just brings up the topic and the conversation about Square Enix as a whole and where this company stands in terms of gaming, right? It is a company that has huge, and I mean huge, legacy IPs. Final Fantasy is massive, right? Everybody in the gaming space, for the most part, knows what Final Fantasy is. At some point in time, they have heard the name, they have heard the reference, they've heard it somewhere. It is a huge IP. I honestly believe that Square Enix would be more likely to be bought out than they would to actually close down. I don't think that Square Enix, or I don't think that other gaming studios would want to see Final Fantasy and IPs like it go away. I think they know how profitable it is. I think they know that Square Enix has made some terrible, and I mean terrible, choices when it comes to their financial well-being. Let's just say they decided to partner with certain people that weren't good for them financially. They decided to work on certain games that they believed wholeheartedly because they were eating up the Kool-Aid or drinking up the Kool-Aid. They absolutely believed that Forspoken was what the Western audience wanted. They thought that Forspoken was going to be the game that was going to take off with Western audiences. And guess what? That game flopped harder than anything that I've ever seen in gaming in recent history, aside from maybe the Saints Row reboot, right? That game flopped so hard that it killed Volition. So Square Enix is at the point now where they're going to have to start making some tough choices, and I think they're doing it now, and they're doing it properly. By canceling smaller projects and focusing on bigger ones, I think that they are going back to what made them good in the first place. Give us those epic, huge RPG stories that we love so much. Give us that kind of content. Stop giving us the bullshit DEI-oriented stuff, or even if you take the DEI out of it, stop giving us the bullshit that you think Western audiences want. Make the game based off what you guys want, and I promise you there is going to be a massive Western audience that is going to resonate with that. That is the reason why Final Fantasy is so big in the West. Final Fantasy is not big in the West because you put a bunch of black characters in it, right? Actually, really, you really didn't. You only put like a couple, but still, it's not big because you put a bunch of black characters in it. It's big because you made it based on how you usually make your Eastern content. And that's what we're looking for here in the West. We are looking for Eastern-oriented content that will translate well and have us delve into a great JRPG story. And I know a lot of leftists do not like the term JRPG because now they're trying to make that racist. Well, you know what? Go fuck yourselves, man. Give me my JRPGs that we have loved for decades. Give us that, because that is what the market is looking for. We are not looking for Forspoken. We are not looking for Marvel's Avengers. That's obvious because you have to close the game down. Just look at Suicide Squad for if you want to. If you needed more of an example, just look at Suicide Squad before you think about doing that again. But still, give us the JRPGs. That is what we are looking for. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Hope you did enjoy it. If you did, consider leaving me a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. If you forget to like the video, comment, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Hypnotic out.